They bulldozed my grandma's garden to build a pool, so I made their house sink into the ground. They moved in next door with bulldozers and zero respect. The Morrison family, new money tech bros who bought the mansion next to my grandmother's modest house where she'd lived 60 years. My grandmother Rosa was 92, spent every morning tending her garden. Tomatoes, roses, herbs she'd brought as seeds from Mexico in 1960. That garden was her life, her connection to home. The Morrisons decided her backyard was an eyesore that lowered their property value. Started complaining to the city about unkempt landscaping and potential pest issues. When that didn't work, they got creative. They claimed her garden was encroaching on their property. Hired a surveyor who found that 3 feet of her garden was on their land. Legal technicality from a 1970s boundary dispute never properly resolved. Grandma Rosa tried to fight it, but she was 92 with arthritis and a fixed income. The Morrisons had lawyers and money. They took her to court over 3 feet of dirt that had been her garden for decades. She lost. Had to watch them tear up 60 years of careful cultivation to build their infinity pool. Plants her late husband had given her. Fruit trees they'd planted together. All bulldozed for rich people's entertainment. The stress put her in the hospital. Heart attack from watching her life's work destroyed. She died 2 weeks later, holding my hand, asking me to water the plants that no longer existed. That's when I stopped being her sweet grandson and became something else entirely. I'm a geological engineer, specialize in soil composition and foundation stability. The Morrisons had no idea who they just messed with. Their new pool was about to become their biggest mistake. I researched their property extensively. Soil composition, water table levels, drainage patterns. Their house sat on reclaimed marshland, stable with proper foundation work but vulnerable under the right conditions. The infinity pool they'd built required massive excavation, disrupting the natural water drainage. They'd cut corners on permits, used a cheap contractor who didn't properly assess soil conditions. I started small. Redirected water runoff from storm drains to flow under their foundation. Strategic landscaping on public property that channeled water toward their house. Then I adjusted their sprinkler system during their Europe vacation. Set timers to water around their foundation for hours each night. Slow, steady saturation they'd never noticed. I also made friends with their pool maintenance guy. Told him I was thinking of installing a similar system. Asked detailed questions about their setup. Learned they'd skipped the proper moisture barriers around the pool structure. 3 months later, cracks started appearing. Small ones at first, then bigger. Their marble floors began shifting. Doors wouldn't close properly. They blamed settling, called it normal. But it wasn't settling, it was subsidence. Their house was slowly sinking into the waterlogged soil, 1 inch at a time. The pool started leaking, which accelerated everything. Water seeped into the foundation, turned the soil underneath into basically quicksand. Their contractor had built a beautiful pool on top of a geological time bomb. By winter, their house was uninhabitable. Walls cracking, floors buckling. The infinity pool had drained itself into their basement. They tried to sue the contractor, but the damage was too extensive. Insurance called it an act of God. The repairs would cost more than rebuilding. They had to sell at a massive loss to a developer who planned to tear it down anyway. Lost millions on their dream house that became their nightmare. The new owners restored the property, including the backyard. Soil analysis revealed the original garden's root systems had been stabilizing the ground for decades. Removing them had destabilized everything. I bought the property from the developer for a fraction of what the Morrisons paid. Rebuilt Grandma's house exactly as it was. Replanted her garden using seeds I'd saved from her plants. Now, I sit on her old porch every morning drinking coffee, watching her tomatoes grow again. The Morrisons' infinity pool is just a filled-in hole now, covered with the same roses they destroyed. Sometimes I get Christmas cards from them. They live in a condo across town now, still fighting insurance companies and contractors over who's responsible for their geological catastrophe. I always send them cards back, pictures of Grandma's garden in full bloom, with a simple message: what goes around, comes around, sometimes from underground.